Please resume your seats. Good evening to you all, and a warm welcome to the Great Hall of the University of Ghana, where today we gather to celebrate yet another full professor as he delivers his inaugural lecture. Today, Professor Ajediran Idowu Bello, former head of the Department of Physiotherapy, School of Biomedical and Allied Health Sciences in the College of Health Sciences in this university, will share with us his years of research in the field of physiotherapy on the topic Beyond Movement, Addressing Musculoskeletal Disorders as a Public Health Imperative. I'm happy to inform you that this lecture is live on the University of Ghana's YouTube and Facebook channels. I would also like to announce that due to the reported cases of COVID-19 by the University Health Services of this university, the university has begun implementing safety protocols. And so as you can see, we have tried as much as possible to space out the seating. And also we have face masks at the entrances with the ushers, and also sanitizers, just in case you need to use them. I would like to encourage all of you to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols to protect yourself and those around you. I shall now invite the Registrar, Mrs. Emilia J. Mensah, to deliver welcome remarks and to introduce our chairperson for this evening's lecture. Please let's welcome her with a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Ms. Songsori. Vice-Chancellor, Pro-Vice-Chancellors, and other officials from the University of Ghana, members of convocation, students, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you all. Good evening to you all. Thank you. We also acknowledge all of those who are joining us online. We are delighted that you are all able to join us for this evening's inaugural lecture to be delivered by Prof. Ajediran Idowu Bello of the Department of Physiotherapy. Inaugural lectures are a significant tradition and part of the university's calendar, and every academic who rises to the rank of professor is expected to deliver an inaugural lecture. This offers the university the opportunity to recognize and to showcase the academic achievements of its faculty, and also enables professors to share their research with colleagues within and outside the university, and also to celebrate this important milestone with their family and friends. I am pleased to introduce the chairperson for today's inaugural lecture. Our chairperson is the first female vice-chancellor of the University of Ghana. She's a professor of linguistics, an experienced administrator, and has over 20 years' experience working in the higher education sector. In the University of Ghana, she has previously served as the Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs, the Foundation Dean of the School of Languages, and as the head of the Department of Linguistics. As Vice-Chancellor, she's leading the university to adopt technology in all of its operations while keeping the people of the university as the focus. She has received numerous awards for her work in education, female empowerment, and leadership. She's a member of many prestigious societies and organizations. To name a few, she's a fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, the founding president of the African Humanities Association, president of the International Federation for Modern Languages and Literatures, and vice chair of the African Research Universities Alliance, ARUA. Ladies and gentlemen, through the power of technology, please join me to welcome Professor Nanaba Appiah Amfo, Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, and chairperson for this evening's inaugural lecture.
Pro-Vice-Chancellors, Registrar, our distinguished lecturer, Professor Ajediran Idowu Bello, Provost, Deans, Directors, Heads of Department, faculty, staff, and members of convocation, past and present senior officers of the university, alumni and students, family, friends, and associates of the lecturer, partners from the health sector, government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, esteemed traditional rulers, eminent clergy, the media, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. It is with distinct pleasure that I preside over this evening's lecture virtually. As earlier announced, today's lecture will be delivered by Professor Ajediran Idowu Bello, a licensed physiotherapist, researcher, and clinical educator on the topic Beyond Movement, Addressing Musculoskeletal Disorders as a Public Health Imperative. In today's lecture, we confront a growing public health concern that affects millions globally, yet remains under-recognized in many health systems: musculoskeletal disorders. According to the 2023 World Health Organization report, musculoskeletal disorders are the leading contributor to disability worldwide, affecting approximately 1.71 billion people, with low back pain alone being the single leading cause of disability in 160 countries. These conditions, ranging from arthritis and osteoporosis to chronic back and neck pain, significantly affect mobility, productivity, mental health, and quality of life, especially in aging populations and among working-age adults. In Ghana, the prevalence of low back pain among adults is estimated at 70.1%, and knee osteoarthritis accounts for 20% of all musculoskeletal disorders. It is important to note that musculoskeletal disorders do not only affect individuals, they impose a heavy burden on healthcare systems and economies. The Global Burden of Disease study confirms that musculoskeletal conditions contribute substantially to healthcare utilization and loss of economic productivity due to long-term absenteeism and early retirement. Leveraging on his 3 decades of professional practice and academic experience in physiotherapy, Professor Bello is set to address critical gaps in musculoskeletal healthcare in Ghana. The lecture will explore 1. The increasing prevalence of musculoskeletal disorders across service sectors in Ghana, 2. The absence of an imperative approach for addressing the growing burden of musculoskeletal disorders, and 3. The strategic actions to prioritize musculoskeletal disorders as a public health concern. The lecture advocates a shift in care pathways for effective management strategies and concludes by advocating for comprehensive action plans to manage musculoskeletal disorders in both local and international contexts, promoting preventive strategies and prioritizing musculoskeletal disorders as public health issues. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor to introduce the lecturer for this evening's inaugural lecture. Professor Ajediran Idowu Bello is a licensed physiotherapist, researcher, and clinical educator with extensive experience in designing, evaluating, and implementing high-quality rehabilitation programs. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Physiotherapy and a Master of Science degree in Orthopedics, Sports and Recreation Physiotherapy from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, where he completed with a PhD proceed grade. The University of Ibadan awarded him a doctorate for his doctoral research centered on hydrotherapy, and musculoskeletal physiotherapy, using participants from Ghana as the focus of his study. Professor Bello is also a founding fellow and faculty member of the Faculty of Orthopedic Sports and Manual Therapy at the Postgraduate Physiotherapy College of Nigeria. As the first professor of physiotherapy at the University of Ghana, his work has set a pioneering benchmark in the discipline. He is a hands-on team leader who has excelled in mentoring and motivating junior professionals and students to achieve peak performance, blending academic expertise with clinical experience in training future physiotherapists and scholars. He currently serves as the School Examinations Officer for the School of Biomedical and Allied Health Sciences, and he is the coordinator of postgraduate programs in the Department of Physiotherapy here at the University of Ghana. Professor Bello began his professional career as an intern at the then Ogun State University Teaching Hospital, now Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital in Shagamu, Ogun State, Nigeria, in 1994, completing as an outstanding intern in 1995. He subsequently completed his National Youth Service Corps program at St. Benedict Rehabilitation Center, Roman Catholic Mission Hospital, Ogoja, Cross River State, Nigeria. That was in 1995, where his exceptional performance led to a permanent appointment as a physiotherapist grade 2 in 1996. During his tenure at the St. Benedict Rehabilitation Center, he actively participated in community-oriented services, including the Prevention of Disability Program. Simultaneously, he served as the Socio-Economic Rehabilitation Officer with the German Leprosy Relief Association, where he was responsible for overseeing social welfare and rehabilitation programs for persons living with disabilities. He progressed to principal physiotherapist in 2004, holding the position until he transitioned into academia. In 2007, Professor Bello was recruited as a principal research assistant in the Department of Physiotherapy at the University of Ghana. He soon became a core member of the teaching staff, shaping his professional career through hands-on experience. Renowned for his expertise in movement science and musculoskeletal disorders, his teaching areas include kinesiology, pathokinesiology, clinical movement analysis, manual therapy, traumatic skeletal disorders, ergonomics, and industrial physiotherapy. Since 2020, he's also served as a visiting professor at the Family Health Medical School in Accra. Professor Bello has supervised numerous undergraduate dissertations, master's theses, and currently oversees MPhil and PhD research projects. His contributions to curriculum development, accreditation processes, and postgraduate education are remarkable. Notably, he contributed immensely to the accreditation of Ghana's first postgraduate program in physiotherapy and currently chairs the Departmental Graduate Studies Committee at the Department of Physiotherapy. Since 2008, Professor Bello has served as a member of multiple statutory and ad hoc committees at the department, school, and university levels. He has held university management positions, serving as the head of department between 2014 and 2018. During his tenure, he facilitated the establishment of the Therapeutic Modality Laboratory and ensured the acquisition of adequate equipment to enhance preclinical training for physiotherapy students. He also established collaborations with the University of Ghana Sports Directorate, leading to a 2-day seminar on injury prevention and management for coaches and athletes in 2015. Professor Bello is actively involved in examination matters at the school, college, and university levels, serving as a member of the University Joint Examiners Board, chairman of the Inter-School Committee on Examination Malpractices for the College of Health Sciences, and he was also chair of the Examination Committee of the School of Biomedical and Allied Health Sciences. Beyond academia, Professor Bello has played a pivotal role in advancing physiotherapy nationally and internationally. Since 2010, he has served on scientific committees for the World Confederation for Physical Therapy, Africa Region, and the Ghana Physiotherapy Association. At different periods between 2020 and 2025, he chaired the Physiotherapy Guideline Development Committee for COVID-19 Management and the Curriculum Development Committee for the Doctor of Physical Therapy Training Program formed by the Ghana Physiotherapy Association. In June 2021, Professor Bello participated in the WHO peer review group for the global package of rehabilitation interventions for amputations. Additionally, he contributed to the development of the WHO guidelines for rehabilitation workforce evaluation. He also reviews curricula and performs academic program accreditations for the Allied Health Professionals Council, Ghana, and the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. He was a volunteer physiotherapist during the Africa Cup for Nations hockey tournament and the first Accra International Marathon race in 2009. Professor Bello has consulted for several organizations, including the Central Bank of Ghana, providing office chair ergonomic assessments and physiotherapy services between 2009 and 2021. In addition, he served as a co-consultant for a 2-year mine-wide ergonomic survey, which secured a 10,500 USD seed grant from Anglo Gold Ashanti in Takwa, Ghana. As part of the project, he led musculoskeletal assessments for mine workers at the work sites. Professor Bello's research focuses on innovative therapeutic approaches to managing chronic musculoskeletal disorders. He primarily employs quantitative research methodologies, having successfully secured multiple local research grants as a principal investigator or co-investigator. He has authored 58 peer-reviewed journal articles, 6 book chapters, and 1 book, significantly advancing the field of physiotherapy, as well as supporting policy briefs and reforms. Professor Bello has presented his research findings at numerous national and international academic conferences. He has addressed diverse audiences on critical health topics as a keynote speaker. Professor Bello is a registered physiotherapist with the Allied Health Professionals Council of Ghana and a member of the World Physiotherapy Africa and World Physiotherapy organizations. He is affiliated with the Ghana Physiotherapy Association, the Nigeria Society of Physiotherapy, the Ghana Association of Writers, and the International Association of Ethics Education. Professor Bello served as editor-in-chief of the Ghana Journal of Physiotherapy and Ghana Physio News from 2012 to 2014. He has reviewed manuscripts for local and international journals. He is also a freelance academic editor for Crimson Interactive, Inaugural Publication Support in San Francisco, USA. Professor Bello's contributions have earned him numerous honors, including the International Service Award Education from the World Physiotherapy Congress Board in Dubai in 2023. Citations of recognition from the Ghana Physiotherapy Association and the Department of Physiotherapy, University of Ghana, as well as the Elsevier Journal-sponsored Outstanding Poster Presentation Award at the World Confederation for Physical Therapy Congress in 2017. Professor Bello hails from Okiamu, Itesiwaju local government area, Oyo State, southwest Nigeria. He's a dedicated family man, married to Kudirat Olerewaju Bello, and together they are blessed with 3 children, Josephat Ajebukola Bello, Moise Ajiola Bello, and Ramat Ajetayo Bello. Professor Bello enjoys listening to local juju and jazz music. He is also a follower of English Premiership Football League and an ardent supporter of Liverpool Football Club. I don't know why he supports that club. I believe this lecture will empower us to promote positive musculoskeletal health in our respective spaces, because a society that can move is a society that will thrive. Professor Bello, you are invited to deliver your lecture. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the lecture.
Some the action. I don't know about one by me, that's a tears. What the man for? What the woman I couldn't run in today. I'm a munina, I trust you. Sanso mama wakwaba yenyina enim tukudi ntiash yenyina enim sentia ya wao Professor Bello ntini ya wa adwuma pa wodi abo a wo menye Emunju shomu micha research. Why? And I won't fast so dear. And then you may want better. Sanya Abribia, ya no. Wabin fue Professor Morning Jumapa Morning Continent More money, yo. Namde masami kwa wiye na dia mekane se. Gane nyina ate ya suti yo. Amanone tia yo. Okuni kasa yo. Bamena kasa yo. Kasa yo. Na dishia etia yo.
I think it's okay. So I'll just roll. Okay. Madam Vice-Chancellor, the Prof. Vice-Chancellor, Research, Innovation and Development, the Provost, College of Health Sciences, and the Provost, Basic and Applied Sciences, the Deans and Director present here, invited guests, members of convocation, faculty members, ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to everybody. Let me first of all thank Madam Vice-Chancellor. I think he has done almost all my preambles. I think I just have to go straight to the point. Actually, my professional career dovetailed into my academic career. And what she has read has actually sent the message clear. I humbly stand before you this evening to present the sixth in the series of 2025 inaugural lecture in this highly referred institution of higher learning, the University of Ghana. I'm honored to be a hybrid of great two universities in the West African sub-region, the University of Ghana and the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. While I am a product of the latter by training, the former nurtured my academic career from the scratch to the pinnacle. I'm proud of both universities, and I consider myself fortunate to be a product of both institutions. Madam Vice-Chancellor, before I jump into the nitty-gritty of this lecture, kindly permit me to briefly again explain how I roved my way into an academic arena from my initial practice strive. My early practice as a physiotherapist undoubtedly dovetailed with my present academic career. Following my one-year internship training program at the then Ogun State University Teaching Hospital, and now Olabisi Onabanjo Teaching Hospital in Nigeria, I was posted to St. Benedict Rehabilitation Center, Roman Catholic Mission Hospital, Ogoja, a semi-urban town in Cross River State, Nigeria, for my one-year compulsory National Youth Service scheme. The completion of the scheme in November 1995 marked the beginning of this journey. My initial professional career was branded by the seal to combat various forms of physical disability in children and adults, whether as primary or secondary health condition. This role was augmented by the Christofield Blinding Mission, a non-governmental organization, through an outreach and facility-based program flagged Prevention of Disability. I had a mandate to assess and triage children and adults with deformities to prioritize those requiring physiotherapy movement management or further evaluation by an orthopedic surgeon. These responsibilities ran concurrently with my role as socio-economic rehabilitation officer with the German Leprosy Relief Association, another NGO. In this capacity, I was entrusted with the responsibility of overseeing the medical rehabilitation of persons living with physical disabilities, while also supervising small-scale businesses set up for unskilled patients following their full recovery. This routine practice spanned almost a decade until 2005, when I succumbed to the inner instinct for career refinement. Borrowing from the famous proverb, if we don't change our direction, we are likely to end up where we are headed. Although I was enjoying the practice as a young physiotherapist, my instinct, combined with my intuition, informed the urge to knowledge enrichment in orthopedic physiotherapy, which I pursue at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. Following the completion, I was recruited as research assistant at the then School of Allied Health Sciences, now School of Biomedical and Allied Health Sciences, marking the beginning of my Ghana journey. My subsequent upgrade to the rank of assistant lecturer in 2008 underscored the necessity for my PhD program the same year, which I completed in 2012. It is also plausible to state that my data collection for the doctoral program was entirely conducted in Ghana, although the University of Ibadan awarded the degree. Madam Chairman, having shared the journey that shaped my professional academic identity, I now turn to the central concern of this lecture, one that has been both a personal and professional calling, the overlooked, yet pervasive burden of musculoskeletal disorders. I would like to present this lecture, by highlighting the inherent impact of musculoskeletal disorders across selected people-centered service sectors, while justifying their upsurge as a public health demand and the possible implementation of actionable policies to alleviate burden of human daily life, using Ghana as the centerpiece. My engagement with you this evening will therefore hinge on the topic, beyond movement, addressing musculoskeletal disorders as a public health imperative. This lecture is underpinned by the ongoing global health reforms in the management of chronic diseases, particularly in developing countries. Ironically, the impact and burdens of musculoskeletal disorder are most underrated health concern by both national and international policymakers, including the funders. Despite its appalling disabling tendency, the argument has always been premised on the low mortality rate associated with musculoskeletal disorders, thereby leading to the underestimation of its long-term effect. This challenge was exemplified during the COVID-19 pandemic, when patients suffering from musculoskeletal disorder-related conditions were relegated to the background, that is, they were denied of their usual rehabilitation care. However, a life deluged with disability arising from many chronic disorders, including musculoskeletal disorders, is almost not worth living, owing to the compromised quality of life. Giving the unequal attention to the scale of burden arising from disabling chronic disorders, such as musculoskeletal disorders, as indicated above, the World Health Organization has declared the Rehabilitation 2030 initiative. This initiative aims to strengthen rehabilitation in health systems globally, improve access to rehabilitation services, and achieve health care for all by 2030. The initiatives call for concerted effort to enhance rehabilitation services through research to support universal access to rehabilitation. Hence, the management of musculoskeletal disorder in context-specific approaches through prompt detection and efficient management is imperative. In this regard, my submission towards this discourse will be passed in 4 parts. The first part will be looking at demystifying the musculoskeletal disorder and its impact, highlighting the increase in the prevalence of musculoskeletal disorders, and presenting studies justifying an integrative model for addressing the rising musculoskeletal disorders. Discussing strategic action to prioritize musculoskeletal disorder as a public health concern. Madam Vice-Chancellor, to fully grasp the urgency of this issue, it is essential that we first understand what musculoskeletal disorders are, how do they manifest, and why do they deserve greater attention within our health system. Permit me, therefore, to explain the operational word in my title, Human Musculoskeletal Disorders. The human body comprises various systems, of which musculoskeletal system is an integral component. The human musculoskeletal system provides support and generates movement, which allow us to interact with our environment. Researchers and professionals in the field of biomechanics, medicines, sports, and rehabilitation base their evaluation on the musculoskeletal system to appraise the integrity of joints and their connective tissue that control movement and body posture. The outcome of the assessment and analysis are fundamental to understanding the normal and abnormal human movement and to partly inform the root cause and subsequent treatment or rehabilitation of individuals with deficiency in the system. The system can be described as a guinea pig, being at the mercy of our will and actions regarding our body functions. It constitutes about 75% of the human body, thus serving as the most versatile source of pain and dysfunction and other dysfunction. The human musculoskeletal system can be likened to a simple machine which operates on the principle of physics, specifically those of levers and pulleys. To illustrate this, when our body receives supplies through network of nerves and blood vessels, they generate the needed tension, internal forces, due to their endowed physiological mechanism to propel the joints for optimal function. The joints serve as the pivot or hinge for our body segment, facilitating movement that enable us to perform our daily activities. The integrity of our joint in turn is dependent on surrounding tissues, which hold the bones together by developing tension in response to passive loading. Through this process, each body segment is able to undergo movements and function. Overall, the tendency to move our segments or to maintain them in a still position is facilitated by our brain, which dictates whether to act or not. This simple analogy suggests that all the body systems are integrated, and a compromise of one will affect the other. Our musculoskeletal system, in particular, serves as a recipient of most of the health deficit from other body systems within the system itself. It suffices to state that various functional deficits in our bodily system are often manifest globally as musculoskeletal disorders. Musculoskeletal disorders therefore comprises a range of specific regional pain or dysfunction resulting from diseases, disorders, or injuries of the musculoskeletal system that undermine human body function. As we move on, the synonyms you may come across include musculoskeletal deviation, musculoskeletal complaint, and work-related musculoskeletal disorder. They can be used interchangeably. Madam Chairman, for every physiotherapist, safeguarding and revitalizing the human musculoskeletal system remain our ultimate goal, while taking cognizance of other health components such as patient's social and psychological status. These disorders can be broadly classified into two main categories. One, traumatic disorders, characterized by injury antecedents, such as burn injury, sport-related injury, or industrial injuries, and non-traumatic disorders caused by other conditions other than direct injuries, including rheumatic and degenerative conditions. It does mean that most medical conditions arising from various organs of the human body find the musculoskeletal system as a temple for manifestation. In brief, the system serves as a prey for many risk factors, which could be intrinsic determinants, such as our age. Intrinsic determinants are those things we cannot help. Age, gender, body build, genetic variants, and extrinsic determinants, which include a blow on the joint, inexperienced habitual postures, and so on and so forth. Therefore, the current epidemiological transition of disease in low and middle income countries, including Ghana, necessitate the understanding of disease burden and the associated context-specific risk factors to inform effective prevention strategies. The prevalence of musculoskeletal disorder is appalling and stands at approximately 1/3 of all reported sick leave cases in hospital settings worldwide. Musculoskeletal disorders are the leading contributors to the disability, accounting for 16% of years leave with disability globally. This is a metric indicating the burden of disability injury or diseases based on severity, and it respects no one. In Ghana, as high as 70.1% prevalence of low back pain among the adults has been reported. Similarly, knee osteoarthritis, a component of our sasaboro, constitutes 20% of musculoskeletal burden and is characterized by increasing global burden of disability and healthcare utilization. The prevalence of knee osteoarthritis in people 50 years and above in Ghana is 13.8%, with higher proportion found in female, and it's accompanied by social life disturbances. The higher proportion does not mean that women are more debilitating. It's just that they have better health-seeking behaviors than male. Hello? Oh. I don't know where it comes from. Okay. All right. So, musculoskeletal disorder is associated with a lot of disability. Concerning the associated disability, my research team investigated the accompanying economic burden among patients suffering from chronic low back pain, who are referred for physiotherapy at 3 hospitals within Greater Accra region, using 2 standardized metric tools for cost and burden. Our findings revealed that 14.28%, that is 8 over 56 of those who participated in the study, earned between 1,100 and 1,500 Ghana cedi monthly. Only 6, that is 10.7%, participants earned a monthly salary above 2,000. Unfortunately, 32 or 57.14% participants did not disclose their monthly income. Ironically, the mean monthly direct and indirect expenditure among the patients roughly amounted to 1,408 Ghana cedi, which was above the monthly earning of the majority of the patients who responded. Again, the mean loss of working hours per hospital visit was 3 hours, seeking for remedy. It was appreciably associated with their cost of care precipitated by low back pain. Considering the patient's relative low socio-economic status and the out-of-pocket payment method, these findings substantiate the need for further refinement of measures through cost alleviation to improve patients' accessibility to rehabilitation services. In our second journey, we will now turn to the sectoral analysis of musculoskeletal disorders prevalence in Ghana. With the foundational understanding of musculoskeletal disorder, revealing patterns and demand policy-driven intervention, musculoskeletal prevalence was found to be pervasive in healthcare, education, and mining sectors, which substantiates its far-reaching effect in our society and the need to devise appropriate preventive measure. In health sector, our first point of call will be antenatal clinic. Frantic efforts are being made to study patterns of occurrence of musculoskeletal associated challenges in our healthcare delivery system. For instance, antenatal care is the comprehensive proactive medical and emotional support provided for expectant mother to ensure their health and well-being throughout the pregnancy period. Indeed, pregnancy symbolizes a period of joy for every couple due to usual high expectation of the fruit of the womb. The period can also be full of anxiety owing to the fear of the unknown. The World Health Organization defined birth defects as structural or functional abnormalities that are commonly seen at birth, which potentiate the incidence of musculoskeletal disorders on the long run. Expectant mothers, therefore, ought to be in the right frame of mind through adequate knowledge about the risk of birth defect to allay the associated fear. Children who survive and live with birth defect are faced with increased risk of developing lifelong physical, cognitive, and social challenges, which may defy medical intervention and other supportive services in the long run. The above report sparked our curiosity to investigate the level of knowledge of birth defect among Ghanaian pregnant women attending antenatal clinics at 3 healthcare facilities in Greater Accra region. Regarding their sociographic profile, of the 443 women sampled for the study, less than half, that is 46.3%, had adequate knowledge of the risk factors for birth defects. 213, that is 48.1%, and 224, that's 50.6%, had moderate and specific knowledge about birth defect respectively. Although 86.0% of the women mentioned possibility of obtaining remedy for birth defect through medical management, less than half, that is 47%, were aware that physiotherapy can only be utilized for birth defect management. Ironically, social demographic status, such as age, education level, parity, and number of antenatal sessions attended, had no bearing on the specific and overall knowledge of the women. Based on this finding, we therefore recommend that midwives should broaden public health education to accommodate mothers' knowledge and awareness about birth defect, while addressing cultural belief in awareness campaign during antenatal visit. We also advocate for incorporation and promotion of physiotherapy services in antenatal clinic to reinforce campaign against the risk factors of birth defect and the available remedies should one occur. In rural child welfare clinic, to further illustrate the widespread nature of musculoskeletal disorders, we begin at the grassroots level where early detection and prevention are most critical, the rural child welfare clinic. Aside from enriching the knowledge of expectant mothers and caregivers about the risk factors of birth defect during antenatal clinic, monitoring children's growth is another task demanded of mothers or caregivers, as well as the healthcare professional. In most developing countries, the service package is devoid of periodic screening for developmental delay in rural clinics, which often leads to late detection of children with developmental milestone by the expected age. So despite its global recommendation by WHO, developmental monitoring program for children from birth to 5 years falls short of the routine screening as part of child welfare services in most of our rural community. Moreover, the screening is usually done by healthcare professionals, leaving out patients and caregivers, despite the familiarity of mothers with their children's development concern, which has been proven to agree by 90% with that of the trained professionals. To effectively mitigate musculoskeletal disorders on time and in time, early and prompt screening for the risk factors remain the first line of management. To determine the prevalence of developmental delays in our local context, we extended our research tentacle to a rural clinic. To determine the prevalence of developmental delay in our local context, we extended our research tentacles to a rural child welfare clinic in suburb of Accra, using University of Ghana Research Fund as a source. Thank you very much, Director. Following our screening survey, we find that 70.6% of the children were born at full term, that is 37 to 40 weeks, while 19.1 and 10.3 of the children were born at the preterm, less than 37 weeks, and postterm, more than 40 weeks, respectively. In addition, 76 of the children had normal weight. Also, 50% of the study sample were at the risk of developing developmental delay, while 44.6% of the children had various developmental delays. Interestingly, children's social and personal interaction constitute 12.1% as the most frequently observed delay, compared to 6.7 and 9.7% for gross and fine motor delays, which has direct link with musculoskeletal disorders. Due to the potential progression of developmental delay into musculoskeletal disorders, early and periodic screening of children becomes imperative to forestall impaired movement and deformities at later stage in life. By so doing, many musculoskeletal disorders can be prevented promptly, while others can be managed at the right time. Healthcare workers. While early childhood screening is vital, the burden of musculoskeletal disorder is equally evident among those entrusted with delivering healthcare. Healthcare providers serve as role models for patients in managing various health issues. Let us now turn our attention to the prevalence of musculoskeletal disorder among nursing. Nursing forms main workforce globally among the healthcare workers. They are exposed to work-related musculoskeletal disorder due to various extrinsic factors, such as physical demand of their practice, which involve bending, twisting, turning to carry out their routine procedure. Even though literature is awash with information on prevalence of musculoskeletal disorders, it cannot be exhausted. In our survey of 151 participants, comprising registered general nurses, community health workers, and midwives in a secondary health facility in Accra, Ghana. An overall 12-month prevalence of musculoskeletal disorder was 69.4. The highest prevalence, that is 79.0, was found among the general nurses, attributed to physical exertion and inadequate training on injury prevention. The highest prevalence of the musculoskeletal disorder was found with the low back pain, which constitutes 72%, closely followed by neck pain, and the nursing cadre was identified as the only predicting factor. Self-adopted coping strategies were also identified among the participants as a means of managing their condition. Seeking assistance from colleagues and modifying patient positions were often adopted as their coping strategies. We therefore recommended that there's a need for periodic education on body mechanisms to mitigate risk factors, ergonomic training, regular physiotherapy, support, and institutional policy on safe patient handling. With all the aforementioned revelations, ignoring the prevalence of musculoskeletal disorder in our Apex hospital will be a disservice to this report, taking fracture as a case in point. Tertiary hospital presumably receive the highest number of fractures due to availability of comprehensive healthcare services, including physiotherapy. The role of physiotherapists in managing and preventing fracture is well acknowledged in the literature. However, the types and causes of fractures commonly referred to physiotherapists have yet to be established in existing literature. We therefore directed our research agenda to 3 teaching hospitals in the West African sub-region: the Physiotherapy Department of the University College Hospital, Ibadan, Nigeria, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Accra, and the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, Nigeria. A retrospective study on the epidemiology of the fracture cases managed between 2019 and 2024 at 3 teaching hospitals was conducted. Of the 943 fracture cases referred for physiotherapy, 33.2% were from Ghana. Moreover, most participants were within the age range 20 to 39 years, whilst 28% of the patients were businessmen and women. Expectedly, more than half of the total fracture cases resulted from road traffic accidents. These findings have profound implications for the discipline level of the road users and socio-economic activities of the 2 nations, given the highest prevalence of fracture cases among the working class. The above revelation set the stage for prioritizing preventive measures for musculoskeletal disorders, including fracture cases, given its potential associated physical disability. We now move to the education sector. Beyond the healthcare force, another vulnerable group emerges: school-age children. In this population, we investigated how postural development and environmental factors contribute to musculoskeletal disorder among primary and junior high school pupils. Examining the growth-related musculoskeletal deviation is worthwhile, particularly at the entry level of preparatory school. Typically, the significant transformation in human posture are said to occur during pre-pubertal and pubertal phases of life, that is between the age of 7 and 12 years. This age range represents a critical stage for tracking potential deformity from childhood to adulthood. In an investigation-led study sponsored by ORID, we purposefully selected basic school pupils of the age range 10 to 20 years in the Accra metropolis for potential musculoskeletal deviation. A total of 1,532 pupils were sampled for screening from a cluster of 264 junior high school using multi-stage sampling method. Our finding revealed that 16.6% of the pupils presented with 2 or more musculoskeletal deviations each. The highest prevalence of the deviation was found with bending deformities of the toe, called hallux valgus. 31% by inward bending deformity of the elbow, and then 247, that is 16.1%, has wing scapula. Flat foot constitute about 80%. There was significantly higher number of female than male pupils with claw toes, knock knees, wing scapula, protruded upper back or kyphosis, curved spine, and so on and so forth, and outward bending elbow cubitus. The gender-specific difference has been linked to varying postural balance, including muscle type, flexibility, genetic variance, and the type of muscles. In conclusion, we now recommend that in spite of the above, the good news is that the deviation can be reversed if dictated early and on time. We therefore persuade the need for routine school-based screening as part of the admission routine, as early detection can prevent progression to adult musculoskeletal disorder. The screening should be integrated to national school health programs for pupils in basic school. Moreover, as part of the education policy package, teachers and school health personnel require training to identify early signs of musculoskeletal disorder. As a matter of urgency, postural education and ergonomics awareness should be embedded in basic school curriculum. Finally, school infrastructures, such as furniture and footwear policy, should be designed to support musculoskeletal health. In tertiary institutions, as students proceed through educational system, the academic environment itself becomes potential contributors to musculoskeletal disorders. It is necessary to examine how workstation ergonomics in tertiary institutions affect both faculty and students. In other words, the surface output of students and lecturers can be influenced by workplace design and furniture. Needless to state that the use of poorly designed furniture over an extended period of time could provoke psychophysiological stress, which in turn could lead to adverse effects on human musculoskeletal health as well as mental health and physical performance. The above findings spark further curiosity to conduct a cursory assessment of the student and faculty members' body dimension in relation to their musculoskeletal complaint within the College of Health Sciences at the University of Ghana. The assessment of graduate students of the then School of Allied Health Sciences were performed to ascertain the compatibility of the student furniture to their body dimension. The seat height, the seat depth, and the seat width were assessed against the height of the underknee height to the floor, and then the thigh length and the hip breadth. The available chairs at the lecture room of the school were found to be deep after our assessment, too high and too wide for majority of the students. We found that 77% out of the 126 students assessed were using mismatched chairs. In addition, 115, that's 91.2% of them complained of musculoskeletal pain, and they ascribed their pain to the use of the chair. If this is found among the patients, how about the lecturers? A similar assessment of infrastructure was performed on faculty at 3 schools of the same college, that is College of Health Sciences at the University of Ghana. I'm not putting our college on the spot. I'm just revealing what is happening. Specifically, the body seat dimension of the faculty were assessed to determine the level of conformities and to ascertain its correlation with the prevalence of musculoskeletal disorders among the faculty members. Using a standardized tool for ergonomic assessment, the body and chair dimension of the high proportion of the faculty were not compatible, of which 74% were found in buttock length, that is the thigh length, against the seat depth, that's the corresponding dimension with the chair. Additionally, a quick appraiser of the workstation ergonomic risk factor using ergonomic assessment checklist indicated that more than half, that is 53.7%, of the lecturers fell into the high risk exposure. Having said that, while the ergonomic considerations are essential to procuring furniture for students and staff, prolonged sitting and lack of active lifestyle have been implicated as serious risk factors in many studies in the literature. For instance, a German meta-analysis across 32 university studies found an average of 7 hours per day of uninterrupted sitting duration, while a multi-country university survey reported an average of 8 hours per day of sedentary behavior among medical students in the North India. The outcome of all these studies further emphasizes the urgent need for the incorporation of economic assessment in procurement processes, while also promoting awareness and training on economic practices among academic staff. Additionally, occupational health experts should also be involved in designing workstation for our offices, and I think we have many of them in this campus. Beyond academic and healthcare setting, the industrial sector, particularly the mining industry, presents a unique set of occupational hazards. Our final sectorial analysis focuses on the former gold mine workers, where physical demand and economic risks are profoundly pronounced. Through a collaborative effort, a survey was conducted to determine 12-month prevalence and anatomical distribution of work-related musculoskeletal disorders among 205 staff members across 7 departments at the Anglo Gold Ashanti Obuasi mine, and to identify occupational risk factors that inform health and economic policy intervention. The outcome of the screening survey showed a 12-month musculoskeletal prevalence of 85.5%, with the low back pain constituting 30%, being the most affected body part. Regarding the risk factors, repetitive task, awkward posture, heavy lifting, and prolonged static position were identified as the main causative agents. The mining department had the highest severe risk exposure, constituting 41.3%, and 30.7% of the staff reported the musculoskeletal disorder. And they reported that the disorders hindered their performance. Similarly, a contractual agreement was reached between another former industry to carry out a mine-wide economic assessment by the Department of Physiotherapy, to carry out a mine-wide screening of musculoskeletal disorder. Of the 424 staff screened, 71.5% reported musculoskeletal disorder in at least one body region, while 38.2% of workers reported 2 or more musculoskeletal disorder. The highest prevalence of musculoskeletal disorder was reported in engineering, followed by mining. Additionally, 214, that is 70.6% participants reported a concern about their low back pain, of which 48.1% reported experiencing the pain once or twice in the previous week. Moreover, 25.7% of the participants had experienced pain 3 to 4 times in the previous week, while 26.2% had felt the pain multiple times in a day. Job cadre and job demands are the 2 key factors influencing the prevalence of musculoskeletal disorders. Based on this finding, we were able to justify a 6-month periodic assessment of workers for ergonomic and physiotherapy intervention in the mining setting. The above reports have implication for health economic policy as follows. 1, there's a need for integration of ergonomic assessment and economic and work-related musculoskeletal disorder prevention into occupational health protocol. Regular musculoskeletal health screening for high-risk departments should be mandated. A policy brief is necessary to recognize musculoskeletal disorder as a major contributor to productivity loss and healthcare costs. Companies should be incentivized to invest in ergonomic equipment and training. Expansion of the National Health Insurance Scheme to accommodate muscular-related musculoskeletal care is crucial. But as Vice-Chancellor, it is glaring that musculoskeletal disorder transcend all the sectors of our society and remain a commonplace in terms of health issues. An intriguing finding in our studies is the similarity in the patterns of presentation across sector assessed, with low back pain and neck pain dominating, followed by trauma and arthritis. This appalling research outcome must have justified musculoskeletal disorders as a public health issue. We cannot just outline the problems. We must be able to suggest pragmatic measures with which to alleviate such burden. Having heralded our findings across selected sectors, a question arises as to how to effectively manage musculoskeletal related condition, among the populace. The burden of illness arising from growing prevalence of musculoskeletal disorder has impacted patients, family, society, government, third-party health insurance companies, and health providers substantially. This initiative has prompted the need for re-evaluation of extant treatment approaches. To successfully manage musculoskeletal disorder, it requires the active participation of the affected individual. 4 dimensions have been proposed for empowering patients to be able to take control of their own patient. This includes meaning, the extent to which individuals think that what they do concerning their health is meaningful. Competence, the degree to which individuals feel competent to perform self-management activities. Thirdly, self-determination, the extent to which individuals think that what they do about their health condition is determined by themselves. Impact, the degree to which political stumbling block against the recognition of associated burden requires strategic approaches, which may include but not limited to the following: advocacy and policy intervention through engagement with health ministry to include musculoskeletal disorder prevention in the occupational health policy. Engaging key stakeholders such as Ghana Health Service, Ministry of Health, training institution, Labor Department, and the economic policy maker on the long-term implication. Strengthening advocacy through robust epidemiological and economic data on musculoskeletal disorder to highlight its burden and healthcare system and workforce productivity. Strengthening legislative action to update our policies, guidelines, and funding for musculoskeletal disorder prevention and management through advocacy for early screening and rehabilitation program. Consideration for rehabilitation services in primary health care and national health insurance scheme to drive the principle of universal health coverage optimally. What of the action to build capacity on self-prevention of musculoskeletal disorder? In Ghana, the existing occupational health and safety policy and guidelines for the healthcare sector were introduced by Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Services in 2010. Our hospital-based study corroborated this finding by examining the registered nurses and midwives and community health workers in which physical exertion occasioned by the lifting and transferring of patients as well as training shortfall in injury prevention were identified as main risk factors for musculoskeletal disorder. Building human resources, addressing gaps in policy initiative, and implementing a musculoskeletal health promotion program for health workers will collectively contribute to effective preventive strategies that mitigate musculoskeletal disorders. So some of the strategies include improving sustainable health initiative through peer support and behavioral change program. This initiative can be implemented by training and designating healthcare workers as peer mentors. Workplace wellness programs such as stretching routines, exercise break, and stress management session will go a long way to prevent various forms of chronic musculoskeletal disorders. At this juncture, Madam Chair, may I take this opportunity to eulogize my provost, the provost of the College of Health Sciences. No sooner has he assumed office as the provost than the introduction of monthly Keep Fit program for the College of Health Science staff. This initiative is not surprising, given his background as a community health physician. We therefore implore other constituent colleges of the university to follow suit, and by extension, other government and non-government parastatals, including health facilities, as an incentive staff for an incentive could be given to staff who demonstrated best musculoskeletal disorder prevention practices. So strengthening workplace economic and safety policy through periodic workplace evaluation to identify and mitigate musculoskeletal risk factors is a way to go. Incorporating musculoskeletal disorder prevention into health education and training, which can be achieved through a joint medical, nursing, and physiotherapy training to include musculoskeletal prevention modules. What about meeting the challenges against physical health surveillance? Indicators for surveillance and monitoring through an informed musculoskeletal perspective are urgently needed in developing countries to determine whether or not the call for action to tackle musculoskeletal disorders is yielding positive results. This indicator could include, but not limited to, number of people with disabling musculoskeletal disorders and their characteristics, the number of people who are unable to perform activities of daily living because of the disorders, the number of people not working because of the disorder, and those are the high-risk exposure to musculoskeletal disorder. My proposal towards these strategies include developing national health surveillance blueprints, which can be implemented through legal framework that will mandate routine physical health screening at entry points across all sectors. Secondly, enhancing data collection and monitoring system through the use of mobile health apps, wearables, devices, and the electronic health records for real-time data tracking. Fostering cross-sectorial collaboration could also help among workplaces, schools, and community organizations to expand health monitoring efforts. Community engagement and awareness campaign by utilizing media such as television, radio, and social media promote health through health promotion initiative to encourage participation in health screening. The last action in Africa, participation in research among rehabilitation professionals remain low, and a lack of collaboration between academics and practitioners, among others, are the main bane. The following action strategies are suggested to remove the stumbling block against research agendas towards alleviating musculoskeletal disorders. Number one, identification of priority areas. The pattern and prevalence of musculoskeletal disorders in all the data presented indicated that low back pain, neck pain, fracture cases, and arthritis are the most prevalent among all the musculoskeletal disorders. The trend will continue to such unless there's a collaborative research effort among policymakers, clinicians, and researchers. Integrating practice into research requires capacity building for rehabilitation professionals research, while also encouraging institutions, national and international funding agencies to recognize musculoskeletal disorders as a global health priority. With requisite skill acquisition, practitioners will be able to engage research as daily practice by consistently raising people-centered research questions. Establishing a learning healthcare system through continuous and seamless knowledge generation from healthcare database, with the ongoing transformation into digital healthcare, which aims to create clinical data set. The algorithm developed from such generated data could offer valuable insight that could lead to improved care at reduced cost. Madam Chair, these are a few strategies that can be considered to mitigate the prevalence of musculoskeletal disorders in developing countries. I'm convinced that implementing the outlined actionable strategies we ensure healthy living across populations and sectors, leading to improved service output and productivity. As I bring this lecture to a close, I would like to reiterate the contribution of the musculoskeletal disorder as a significant yet under-recognized public health challenge globally, particularly in developing nations like ours. It is interesting to note that all the reported findings in this lecture were obtained from former service sectors, which means that we do not need any soothsayer to tell us the probable worst situation in informal sectors. Madam Chair, although the disorders were grouped in this lecture as a unit, they are characterized by varying causes and characteristics, including clinical presentations, patterns, and symptoms. In physiotherapy practice, these variations are employed to identify individual patients with distinct clinical profile, which ultimately define their subgroups of phenotype to ensure effective management outcome. The concept is premised on the fact that responses of individuals or patients to a given interventions vary to a certain extent. Research targeting clinically meaningful subgroup is emphasized to demonstrate larger treatment effect. It is on this notion that I treat musculoskeletal disorder as a unit in my lecture. Moreover, all the propositions made in these lectures can be extrapolated to each type of musculoskeletal disorders. These lectures underscores the urgent need to integrative care, context-specific rehabilitation strategies, preventive and promotive measures, policy reform, self-empowerment, and community-based interventions as pragmatic approaches to address widespread prevalence of musculoskeletal disorders. Prioritizing musculoskeletal disorder within the national health agenda and fostering interdisciplinary collaboration are crucial to mitigating their socio-economic burden and enhancing quality of life across all sectors. Through specific findings presented and recommended integrative approach to sustainable models of care, it is strongly believed that the quality of life in the working and aging population of the country and beyond will be significantly enhanced. Future research direction are urgently needed or encouraged to focus on the application of digital technology and artificial intelligence for developing predictive models that enhance individual and population-based care for musculoskeletal disorders. Before I leave the podium, I would like to express my praises to the Almighty God, whose name cannot be harmed on earth or in the heaven, the Lord of the seven heavens and all that they envelop, the Lord of the seven hearts and all that they carry, the splitter of the seeds and the date stone. To you belong all the glories and praises. Next, I would like to mention the twin university, the University of Ghana and the University of Situation in my department from inception to date. Today, I'm filled with joy, as most of my students are spread across the regions in the country. I thank the administrative team and staff of the College of Health Sciences and that of the School of Biomedical and Allied Health Sciences. Now I turn the radar to my teachers and mentors. I hold my teachers at the University of Ibadan debt of gratitude, starting with Professor Babatunde Adegoke, my supervisor both for master's and PhD projects. Your guidance throughout my struggle is highly appreciated. You also offer to collaborate with me to publish our various research findings following my PhD qualification. I appreciate you. Professor Arinola Olasumbosanya, the former Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana and my first supervisor at the undergraduate level. I thank you very much, ma'am. I did not fully appreciate your gesture when you assisted me in publishing my undergraduate project in 1999. It later turned out to be the foundation for future pursuit. Professor Ajediran Idowu, Professor Oladele Amosun, Dr. Kamaldeen Sani, Dr. Jayesimi, and Professor Ayaniyi are all duly acknowledged for their contribution to my academic career. To my mentors in Ghana, I appreciate all my former deans, starting from Professor Edwin Kwame Wiredu, who facilitated my coming to Ghana through my friend. Apart from exposing me and my colleagues to the intricacies of the academic environment, you also provided the tutelage for us on curriculum development through numerous academic retreats. To my former dean and provost, Reverend Professor Patrick Ferdinand Ayekumi, you are ever ready to bail me out of many challenges whenever one surfaces. Your various support, particularly during my tenure as the HOD, I greatly appreciated. I also salute my immediate past dean, Professor Fori Akwa, for his support during my efforts to achieve academic growth. Beyond the wall of allied health sciences, I had to look for shepherd elsewhere to be able to establish myself firmly in the academic environment. I acknowledge the support of Professor Margaret Lathe, former dean of the University of Ghana Medical School, who also helped in the review of first draft of my abstract and profile. I acknowledge the fatherly advice of Professor Frederick Adai and Professor Andrew Ajay at different times. Professor Lajide Olawale, under whom I worked directly when I joined the Department of Physiotherapy here in Ghana, before he went back to Nigeria, he was actually my academic supervisor and pathfinder for me in my new terrain. Thank you very much, sir. To my distinguished professor, Professor Joseph Balogun, at the Chicago State University, the United States of America, you have imparted many skills to me through our numerous academic engagement. Your contribution in the review of this write-up are also highly acknowledged. To all my friends and folks, Chief Mukala Oseni Adewale, Dr. Udofia, Dr. and Mrs. Yankee, Dr. and Mrs. Ame, and many others. If I don't mention your name, I quite remember you very well. To all my professional affiliates, Ghana Physiotherapy Association, Allied Health Professional Council, Nigeria Society of Physiotherapy, Ghana Federation of Allied Health Professions, Graduate Physiotherapy College of Nigeria, and Stroke and Cardiovascular Training, Ghana. I also appreciate my students, both undergraduate and postgraduate students, for all your support, or not only to you. You didn't know that we were growing together at the beginning, particularly those of you up to 2016 or so. I'm not condemning other sets, but I think COVID-19 came to disrupt the whole thing. To my family, we have always moved in a unit, right from the inception. And to my wife, so whenever I take home any challenge, she has only one statement she will utter, Ọlọ́run á ṣe, which literally means God will do it. And actually, God will actually do it. On this note, I thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. Thank you so much, Professor Bello, for giving us something to think about regarding our musculoskeletal health. And the applause says it all. We want to thank you, and we believe that all of us have learned a thing or two today to make us take better care of ourselves. If you want to hear more on what Professor Bello has spoken about today, we'd like to invite you. He'll be a guest on Research Agenda on Radio Universe 105.7 FM next week, Wednesday, which is the 2nd of July at 8 a.m. So please mark your calendars and join on radio as he throws more light on this evening's lecture. Please, another round of applause for him. Well, after a very thought-provoking lecture and to aid us to process all that we have heard, I would like to invite you to relax and enjoy an interlude from the Ghana Dance Ensemble. This evening, the Ghana Dance Ensemble is taking us to Nigeria. They are going to perform for us the Bata dance, and I hope I pronounce it correctly. And this originates from the Yoruba people of southwestern Nigeria. Its history is deeply rooted in the culture and traditions of the Yoruba people. It is believed to have been invented by Shango, the god of thunder and lightning. This traditional dance was initially used as a means of communication between Shango and his followers, with dancers mimicking the persona using intricate foot and hand movements and shoulder gestures. This dance is now primarily performed to entertain at religious and secular ceremonies, showcasing the vibrant performance art of the Yoruba people. This dance has been selected for this inaugural lecture to reflect the ethnic background of Professor Bello and to link the vigorous nature of the Bata dance to his lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Ghana Dance Ensemble. That was the Ghana Dance Ensemble taking us all the way to Nigeria. Professor Bello, I hope they scored high on this one. He's giving a thumbs up. Please let's acknowledge them one more time. Thank you. It's now time for us to make some presentations to our inaugural lecturer, and so I'll be calling various groups to come up here to make your presentations. As I said earlier on, Professor Bello belongs to the College of Health Sciences. So I would like to call the college first to do the first presentation. As they come, please let's acknowledge them. College of Health Sciences. The presentation is being done by the provost, the college registrar, and the assistant registrar. Next to present is the School of Biomedical and Allied Health Sciences. The School of Biomedical and Allied Health Sciences. Wow. Thank you very much, Esbas. Next is the Department of Physiotherapy. Department of Physiotherapy. That's Prof's department, so we'll allow them a few minutes to take a group photo with him. Next is the University of Ghana Association of Physiotherapy Students. Thank you. If the Ghana Physiotherapy Association is here, you are next to do your presentation. The Ghana Physiotherapy Association. The next presentation will be done by the Okeamo Prestige Elite Club, and this will be presented by Chief Adewale Mukaila Oseni. Please let's invite him as he comes. Would now like to invite the family of Chief and Mrs. Adewale Oseni. And this will be presented by Alhaja Iyaduni Anu Oseni. Next will be the postgraduate physiotherapy students 2025 batch. Postgraduate physiotherapy students 2025 batch. Thank you very much. And the last presentation, and certainly not the least, would like to invite the immediate family of Professor Bello to make their presentation. Thank you very much. Before the Vice-Chancellor delivers her closing remarks, we would like to acknowledge some dignitaries who have joined us this evening. We would like to acknowledge Chief Mukaila Adewale Oseni, who is the Director of Operations at the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Next to be acknowledged, if he is here, I would like to see you, Professor Edwin Kwame Redu, former Dean of the School of Allied Health Sciences. Okay, he's right here. He's also a former Pro-Vice-Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences. Would like to also acknowledge the presence of Reverend Professor Patrick Ferdinand Ayekumi. If he's here, I would like to see you, Prof. Professor Margaret Latte, former Dean of the University of Ghana Medical School. Professor Frederick Adai, former Head, Department of Anatomy, University of Ghana Medical School. Professor Andrew Ejay, former Deputy Provost, College of Health Sciences. Mr. Daniel Atanya, Registrar of the Allied Health Professionals Ghana, Professions. Dr. Ignatius Awini Bonu, Director of Allied Health, Ministry of Health. If you are here, I would like to acknowledge you. Dr. Paul Amankuna, current president of the Ghana Physiotherapy Association, if you are here. Dr. Shiraz Isahaku, president of the Ghana Federation of Allied Health Professionals. Dr. and Mrs. Emmanuel Ame, consultant obstetrics and gynecology, Regional Hospital Ridge, if you are here, and CEO of Trust Hospital, respectively. Thank you very much for being here. Mr. and Dr. Mrs. Francis Yankee, Bank of Ghana headquarters, if you are here. Thank you very much for being here. Mr. Samuel Otu, former president of the Ghana Physiotherapy Association. Okay, thank you also. And Ms. Alberta Roxon, former president also of the Ghana Physiotherapy Association. Thank you so much for being here. And we have a lot more who have been online. And Prof, maybe when you are done, you want to read some of the comments that are coming in for you online as well. So I'd like to thank you very much. Before we'll now take the closing remarks from our chairperson, who is the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana. And again, we'll listen to it.
Women, what a fascinating and enlightening journey we've been on this evening. Thank you, Professor Bello, for taking us on this journey beyond movement and deep into the heart of what many of us have taken for granted for far too long, our musculoskeletal system. Today's lecture has made it abundantly clear that bones, joints, and muscles are not just anatomical features. They are the very foundation of how we live, work, worship, hustle, and even dance. Whether it's lifting patients, teaching from mismatched furniture, digging deep in a mine, or simply sitting at a computer for too long, as most of us do, musculoskeletal disorders are silently shaping, or perhaps in some cases, misshaping our lives. Now, before I share a few takeaways, permit me to acknowledge something truly special about tonight's lecture. Our distinguished speaker is a proud academic product of the two great twin towers of higher learning in West Africa, the University of Ibadan and the University of Ghana. He has not only been shaped by both institutions, but he has also actively shaped them in return. Tonight, he has done more than deliver an inaugural lecture. He has brought together the intellectual legacies, cultural richness, and fraternal spirit of Nigeria and Ghana under one roof. I believe that the fact that he delivered his lecture on Ghanaian soil indicates that the Jollof Wars have been settled once and for all, and Ghana is the winner. So here we are, united by scholarship, purpose, and perhaps a few shared backaches. Let me highlight just a few key lessons from tonight's insightful lecture. One is that musculoskeletal disorders are no small matters. They are silent saboteurs of productivity, mobility, and well-being, and they deserve a place on our public health agenda. Two, we must act early, from the womb to the classroom and beyond. Early detection and intervention can prevent a lifetime of pain and limitation. I'm reminded of the saying that it's easier to shape the branch than to bend the trunk. The third one is that workspaces must work for us. Bad chairs, poor posture, and long hours are not just uncomfortable, they are dangerous. Perhaps it's time we consulted Professor Bello and his colleagues when purchasing office furniture. 4, we need holistic, people-centered care. It's not just about fixing bones, it's about empowering people to move, to thrive, and yes, to attend parties and weddings and dance without fear of injury. Essentially, we should be able to go about our daily routines without worrying about our musculoskeletal health. And the last one is that research, policy, and culture must intersect. The path forward includes evidence, advocacy, and respect for our local realities, whether it's through national policy reform or engaging traditional bone setters. Professor Bello, thank you. You have not only informed us, but inspired us too. You've brought to light the silent suffering of many and offered us a roadmap for healing. One joint, one policy, and one movement at a time. You have demonstrated the value of impactful research to society, thereby advancing the university's second strategic priority. Ladies and gentlemen, so when I end the speech, I would like you to join me in a well-aligned, agronomically sound manner to rise and applaud this remarkable scholar, bridge builder, and champion of public health. Thank you, and do have a good evening. Now let's rise and give him a resounding round of applause.
Please resume your seats. We'd like to thank our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Nana Abba Appiah Amfo, who chaired this event from a distance. She was online earlier on with us during the lecture. Thank you very much. I would like to kindly ask you to turn with me to the back page of the brochure. We have the upcoming events for the University of Ghana. The first is tomorrow. We'll be converging at the City Conference Center at 2 p.m. Before then, there would be exhibitions the whole day, and we'll be celebrating the 2025 day, or climaxing the 2025 day of scientific renaissance of Africa. A lot of the units have been having events in this month of June to celebrate DSRA. And as part of this, there'll be a panel discussion on climate sustainability, innovate, safeguard, prosper, and we'd like to extend an invitation to all of you to join us tomorrow. Our next inaugural lecture will be delivered by Professor Justice Bawele. He's the Dean of the University of Ghana Business School, and his topic is Our Corruption, Our Ethics, Our Public Administration, Wicked Citizens, Wicked Problems, and Stagnating Developments. A very interesting topic. So I'd like to ask you, if you are able, those of us in Ghana, please visit us. And those who are not here, please, you can join us online. This topic is very relevant to all of us. And so we invite you to join us at our next inaugural lecture. So thank you very much. I would like to acknowledge, if the rains are good to us, we will move into the little courtyard on that side for refreshments. And then our students, please take your refreshments in the courtyard as you leave the building. So please kindly take note of that. We want to wish you all a good evening, and we look forward to receiving you at our future events. Please rise for the university anthem.